Miss Longview.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good.
Meg Anderson with ADP.
Very nice to meet you, Meg.
Nice
Thanks for
to meet
coming.
you, too.
Please have a seat.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I was actually able to eat here last week. I came with a few coworkers of mine.
What'd you have?
Well, we came to this great $10 buffet that y'all have.
Yeah.
You know, around lunchtime, and it was delicious. I probably had a little too much cheesecake and tiramisu, though. Is that one of your specialties?
It definitely is. And we always have to find time to enjoy something that we really like, right?
Well, that's great. You know, you really have to enjoy the finer things in life. I agree.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you again for sitting down with me today. I know that you took the advice of Brian over at AB Bank to sit down and meet with me. I know that you are very busy, obviously, as a restaurant owner. So I want to grant the 15-minute time limit, make sure that we stick to that so that you can get back some of your other activities that you need to do running a restaurant.
That would be great.
Okay, wonderful. Well, first, what I would like to do today before we go any further is really ask and kind of address the elephant within the room. I know that you were once with ADP about 5 years ago, and I wanted to talk to you as to why you left ADP.
The biggest issue that I had with ADP was with customer or client service, depending on, I'm not sure what you guys call it, but the person who was my rep just never got back to me in a timely fashion. If I had a question, a discrepancy, whatever it might have been, I spent more time talking to his voicemail than actually talking to him. And then I understand we're all busy. So if I leave you a message, I expect that you're going to get back to me in a timely fashion. And after that happening a few times, it just felt like my business was not that important to that rep. Maybe they were working on some other things, some larger entities at that time. And I felt like I was sliding through the cracks. And at the end of the day, my biggest concern is my restaurant, and if that wasn't his concern or ADP's concern, that's fine, but I'd rather move to someone who did take me as, you know, a very important part of their business as well.
Yes, I understand, and I'm sorry, again, to hear that, but hopefully today we can reconcile a little bit of that and show you how ADP has changed over the past 5 years. Does that sound all right?
I'm willing to at least listen and see what I hear.
Great, okay. Well, what I would like to get out of today's meeting is to basically ask a few questions to you to understand your business a little further, and then go into some different things as to how ADP has changed specifically to your business.
Okay.
And then if everything works out, I'd love to set up an appointment next week to go through and show you how it would be applicable to your business.
Okay.
Does that all sound fair?
Sounds good.
Okay, wonderful. Well, before we get started, is there anyone else who should be included in on this meeting that's involved in payroll?
Well, not specifically on this meeting,
Okay.
but my administrative person for the restaurant's name is Patty.
Okay.
And I figure I'd have a conversation with you first, see what I hear, see if I think we should be interested, and then as we move deeper into the thick of things, have her involved because she would be solely involved in the role.
Okay, so she's very important and an asset to you for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. And then looking at how many employees do you have currently?
We currently have about 300 employees.
You've really grown and taken off.
Oh, absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Over the last 5 years, we've been doing some pretty good things. And if things continue to go well and we find some additional time to work in adding a few more locations, by all means, we're going to work towards doing that.
Growth is important, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
And out of those 300 employees, about how many of them are tipped employees?
Wow, good question.
So an approximate, I know at a lot of restaurants, it's usually around, since there's a lot of wait staff, it's usually around, 50%, between 50 and 60%. Would you say yours is around there as well?
I would say mine is probably closer to the upper, probably about the 60% mark.
Okay, alrighty. So I would say, maybe around 175 employees.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And then who are you currently using for your payroll?
Paychecks.
Okay, and how often are you paying your employees?
Every 2 weeks.
Okay. And a question that I find that's really important to ask when I sit down with potential clients is asking, what do you find important when you're looking for a vendor or a strategic business partner? Is it someone who is going to be trustworthy? And this isn't just for payroll, but say the person who provides your linens for your restaurant. What is the most important thing to you when establishing that relationship?
Trustworthiness definitely is on the top of that. Someone that's easily accessible. I mean, my restaurant is open every day. If I have an issue, I want to know that if I call you, that I'm going to hear back from you within a timely fashion. Someone that understands my business. Someone that asks the right questions. so that when I run into issues, not that they would expect it, but they would understand why some of these issues happen. For example, if I'm talking specifically to the payroll, a lot of my employees are tipped employees. So I need you to understand what that means and how that affects me and how we need to report those things so that the IRS isn't knocking on my door at the end of the year.
It's the last thing that you want.
Oh, yeah. Those people are vicious.
Yes, I understand. And you want to keep them as far away as possible. That's what we're here to do, to make sure that you are protected.
And I'm not saying that any of those things have happened, but I need to know that you're essentially part of my team as well, an important part of my team. And I need to feel like you feel that way too.
Exactly. A strategic business partner, someone who, you might not be able to hire a whole HR department or a service, but, we can definitely partner with you to show you that we are here to help.
That's what I'm looking for.
I understand. And then looking at your payroll in specific, I know that you said Patty is really involved in the day-to-day process, but how does she go about doing that?
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Our payroll process, in my opinion, is way too long.
Okay.
So our employees are actually hand writing out their timesheets.
Oh, wow.
Those timesheets are given to their manager, who gets it to Patty weekly. Okay. As she receives that information, she's calling it into Paychex. Okay. Once they receive the numbers, they send her back confirmation of what they received, and she has to say yay, nay, or whatever, based on confirming that information. It doesn't seem to always run that easily. There is lots of room for error and mistakes, which adds additional time to this process. And it's just taking away a lot of Patty's time. And Patty is not only here solely for the purpose of payroll. She's my main administrative asset here. So a lot of the other things that I could have her working on, she's taken away from, because at the end of the day, we have to pay our employees. That's how we continue to run.
Right. They're your most important asset.
They are.
I understand. And, so it seems like it's a very manual process for Patty. And if she could be spending her time in other revenue-generating tasks, it would be beneficial to Portobello's. Would you agree?
Yeah. And I think she'd probably be a little more happier, too.
Probably. Not as much work on her end.
Yeah.
Always want to make it easier on everyone. Now looking a little bit deeper, you said that you use time cards so that employees are having to write out their own time. Have you ever had, I understand I work with a few different restaurants, specifically within the New Jersey market, a few of them right around the corner that have just signed up with ADP. Before they signed over with us, they had an issue of what's called buddy punching. So where an employee would say, call up their friend and say, hey, I'm running 15, 20 minutes late. Could you go on ahead and punch my card for me? Now, obviously no restaurant would hope that or expect that this would be an issue at theirs.
It happens, though.
But, would you agree that it could potentially be a risk at your restaurants?
It could. And I mean, even more so because they're not even punching.
Right.
So they're just handwriting some of this information. And I would hope, that my employees are honest. But I'm sure that these things could potentially happen.
Right, yeah. It's an issue that definitely can be addressed, though, for sure. And then looking at, have you ever heard of the FICA tax credit? Are you aware of what that is?
I've heard of it. Not very well versed in what it is, and I'd like to be more involved in understanding those things.
Of course.
And I think that my current vendor could provide that if we didn't have to spend so much time focusing on the issues that we're facing, or spend so much time just getting the actual payroll in.
Right. So, if someone could provide a time-saving service for you, and even just looking at FICA alone, how much money it could save you. And I'm sure has Paychex, have you ever seen a large sum of money on your tax returns that's over $100,000? Have you ever seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have that kind of money in cash, after the year, wouldn't it? To kind of have some money around.
Yeah,
it'd be helpful.
Oh yeah.
And then looking at, and specifically, you said that you had 175 tipped employees. And basically, just to give you a little bit of info on the FICA tax credit, basically restaurants, for up to every employee that they have, can get up to $700 in tax credits per tipped employee. So say you have 175 employees that are tipped, multiply that by 700, that's an additional $122,500 in your pocket at the end of every year.
That I'm not even sure if I'm getting right now.
I'm sure if there was an additional almost $125,000 on that line bottom, and that's just another service that's included in everything that we offer.
Wow.
So basically looking at some of the things that we talked about, would it be all right if I summarized a few of the points that
Sure.
I want to make sure that we stick within the 15-minute time frame, as I know you're very busy. I actually worked in a restaurant during college, so I know how busy the owners are, because you're having to be pulled in so many different directions.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But basically what I've talked about with you today is that customer service is super important to you. Having a relationship between your representative and having someone that you believe is not just there to sign a deal and walk away, but someone who is a strategic business partner, someone who provides innovation and a solution to some issues that you may have. Growth is important to you. You've obviously grown to 10 restaurants at this point. You would like to continue growing further into the future. Also, you want someone who can be easily accessible and reachable. So when you need to call them, they're right there to help you out.
And I know I mentioned that, and I talked to you about the problems that I had in the past with ADP.
Yes.
I know some times have changed. Some time has passed and things have changed. Yes. But how do I know that I'm not going to kind of deal with that same issue, that same service problem? I'm still very nervous about going back to that.
I completely understand your concern, and a lot of clients, before they do sign over with ADP, have that same concern. The great news is that since you left ADP 5 years ago, we have completely changed our customer service structure.
Okay.
So basically, our client service retention rate has drastically jumped up to 93%. So we've been able to take out some of the kinks that were issues in our customer service department before, make sure that the client is the first and most important priority to us. And I actually brought along today for you some client referrals of local businesses.
Okay.
And they are expecting your call. So basically what this is just a few restaurants that are around in the area, Chef's Table, in Latour. So I'm sure you're familiar with them. And I've been able to work with them specifically. I'm their sales rep. So I've been able to help them out, and they speak very highly of ADP and have been thrilled with the service that they've received and the relationship that they've gotten to create with me. Would that kind of take away some of the concern if you were able to speak with them and understand how, you just met me, so you probably you might not trust me yet, but what I'd love to do is be able to put it on you to talk to someone who is a true and real client and hear from them as to how we have changed our customer service and how it's definitely become a priority.
Yeah, this will definitely be helpful, and I do intend to reach out to these people.
Wonderful.
I do have another concern, though.
Of course.
So in making this easier and more streamlined payroll process for us, I'm concerned about Patty's involvement.
Yes.
I know that you mentioned that some of your systems and the way that a lot of this works is automated.
Yes.
Patty is not very technologically savvy.
I understand.
So I'm afraid that she's going to be a little nervous and probably against the change, being as though a lot of this is going to be very different from her. And she's just used to your normal, hey, I send some emails.
Right.
Basically, I know how to turn on the computer.
Right, I understand.
But new applications, I'm sure are going to be a real concern for her.
Of course. The great news is that ADP offers, and I'm personally not great with computers. Great news is that we have an entire implementation team. So when you sign up with ADP, you basically have a team that comes in here and shows you how to walk through the system, plug in all of your information.
Okay.
Also, might ease Patty's concern as well as, I don't know if you're comfortable with technology. I know that I was a little hesitant in the beginning. We have a demo that we show our clients as to how the system works online and how much easier it makes their life and everything. And included in all of these services, in addition to the technology and how much time it saves you, we offer a plethora of other things that help out and save time. So as you mentioned before, you said that Patty's time could be spent doing other revenue generating tasks. If you sign up with ADP, basically it saves clients 60% of their time. Switching over to us. So her time would be freed up, and the technology part would come with time, and also the implementation team would show her how to do that. And also what I would love to do is set up a time to meet with you next week to come in here and show you and Patty a demo of the product, as well as to prepare a customized proposal within your budget, which I know is important.
Absolutely.
Would that be of interest to you?
That would. That definitely would.
Okay, great. Would next Tuesday around 3 o'clock sound good for you and Patty?
Actually, Tuesday isn't the best. I know it's kind of short notice, but could we work with something maybe Monday afternoon?
That sounds great. Monday, you want to say 2 o'clock?
Monday at 2 would be perfect.
Okay, wonderful. Let me go ahead and write that down. And I will shoot you an email reminder on Outlook just so that you can have it in your calendar and everything.
That sounds great.
Does that sound great? Thank you so much, Ms. Longview. I appreciate you meeting with me today.
Thank you,
Look
Megan.
forward to meeting you and Patty next week.
Sounds
Bye-bye.
great.
Thank you.
you.